How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Pro Tools engineering class with Cleaves. Of course, I go by Cleaves Macomb. So what we're going to talk about today is right here on the screen as well. So from organizing a session before any recording, to signal flow, to accentuating effects on vocals, to spatial cognition, and that's pretty much just space within a mix, to a final mix ready to be sent out for mastering. The value that you're going to get today from this course is going to assist you in creating your own process pretty much. Simply to get from session start to session and mix complete. The idea is to make sure that whenever it is that you have a client, no matter what the time frame is, you can give them something that if they're going to some sort of event or presentation of what they came to record with you, it's going to sound at least crispy, the way that you want to sound crispy, to your particular liking of how it is that you add effects and things of that nature. A lot of people do spend a lot of time trying to make it sound the way that they want it to sound, and it's because of the way that they approach it, they need extra time or you got to come back and finish your project. So I'm going to try and give you the best tips I can on how it is that I approach that exact same issue and make sure that I drive home the value of how I get it done. And that should assist in how it is that you get your process done. So pretty much the project that I have up now is just a beat. It has vocals in it as well, but essentially it's going to be left, right, and stereo of each, I can say, individual element inside of a track, and how it is that before, and you don't see a lot of plugins on each track, how it is that I have before it is that you even add effects, kind of the arrangement organized in the mix already. That gives you a chance to place things where you want to have it. But it keeps it as clean as possible without a lot of processing. I know a lot of people nowadays is going after pretty much having a supercomputer, something with like 64 gigabytes of RAM, 2 terabytes hard drive or more, trying to make sure that they're able to still load up every single track with whatever effects and whatnot. I feel like that's an improper process for the simple fact that every track does not need the exact same plugins on each individual track. That makes no sense to me at all, especially in Pro Tools. So the first thing I'm gonna bring up is how it is that you even wanna have the signal flow happen, right? So we're gonna come to this first element, and it's literally just a kick. You see the stereo kick there, and then you have a left and right of the exact same kick. The first thing I did, I always volume adjust. Of course, whenever it is that you export stems from another project, it's more than likely going to normalize it. So it's putting it up to 0 decibels as far as the threshold. Bring that down. Regardless if you get a beat off YouTube or somebody has their instrumental, make sure you bring it down from the mastering level. That's one thing I feel like a lot of people make the first and biggest mistake whenever it is they got a client, they download their track, they throw it in Pro Tools, they don't touch the volume. It makes no sense at all. And then when you try and throw compression on top of that, start to super smash it, when all it is you really needed was head space, dynamic range space. Adjust that with the volume. What I tend to do, I turn it down -12, just to see what the beat will hit at -12. And that'll be on the track in particular. Of course, with this one being a beat that all the stems are in, you're not going to see it, but normally I would have a beat track here, and when I throw it on there, that's a stereo one. The first thing I'm doing is turning down the volume right here. That's going down to -12, just so I can see where it hits at. And of course, to get like the individual to the 10th, as far as decibel, in Pro Tools, you'll want to use Control on a Mac. I think it's holding Control. And on a PC, yeah, I think it would be Command. But the first thing I do with the beat is turn it down. Give me some headspace. Let me see what it sounds like. And that also allows me to adjust how it is that I'm gonna record in. So when I have my artist and I got they beat down -12, that allows me to bring them in with recording to where I'm not trying to push their vocals from the beginning. I am not pushing. I'm trying to get you at a nice little range where I'm not catching any artifacts from trying to boost your vocals. I'm not catching any of the electric signal flow. Let's try and keep that as low as possible. and that negative 12 kind of helps with that. And then if you throw compression on that negative 12, you good because you got headspace already and you're just tapping on the top. And I feel like that's one thing a lot of people don't keep in mind is when they're compressing, how much off the top do you want to take? You want it to have, I guess, say a natural feel to it. But for instance, if you had a head full of hair, and of course I don't, but if you did, when you put on the hat, you know, it's gonna smush it to where if it was a design already, you would probably not want to put anything on your head, or at least, if nothing else, maybe like a hairnet, because you work at a restaurant or something like that, and that's very soft on the top. That's how it is that I approach just the first level of compression, and I don't try and compress on any level, all at that one spot. I feel like that's ridiculous as well. You got plenty of tracks, you got bus tracks, you got a master track. Why can't you put 3 different compressors on it? Who told you not to? But it's some sort of process out there, and I done checked out a few of the, what do you call it? Like you could go and purchase the presets. Checked out a couple of those presets packed in Pro Tools and FL Studio and Logic. And it seems like one thing that was a part of those presets was when they had I guess you could say, tracks loaded up with the plugins, it seemed like it promoted you doing everything on that one level. And so that's how I feel like people got into the process of wanting to make sure every single track had that preset set of plugins on it so that they could do the thing that they wanted to do to the audio at every single stage. And then of course, after 5 plugins, 15 tracks, a 4, 6, 8 gigabyte computer is not gonna handle that. So it's gonna start skipping. Program probably gonna crash, especially if it's a Windows. So good luck Windows with that one. Y'all could probably sell supercomputers out the wazoo. And that's when it is that you start to have the issue of the type of clients that you can even have. On top of that, the type of plugins you could use. Of course, one thing that's super popular right now is auto-tune. You can't really use it more than one track. So you got to get into bussing anyway. So definitely keep that in mind. When you bring in your beat, turn it down. Even if it's not at a mastering level, bring it down. It seems like what tends to happen as well with volume control within the mix is that to get something louder, people try to boost at this level here on the track itself. And that doesn't make sense because the first thing you can do, and I haven't had to on, I guess, say the individual sounds, but where I have them going, normally you'll see, and on this bus track, it'll have a compressor. And I'm trying to find a track where I got my compression at. I might not even have it because I haven't gotten to that level yet in this mix, but this snare combo, I actually have a compressor on it, so let me bring it up. And when you look at it, I got my boost right there on the compressor. First thing I'm doing is, I can say, taking the top off, only at a ratio of 2, not much, just a little bit, but all the way down at the threshold of -40. So as where the meat of the sound is, and I'm only pushing it a little bit, just tapping on the accelerator, and then boosting it from there because I want more sound. The reason why I'm boosting it there is so that on this track here, let me get it out the way. On this track here, if it's too loud from the compressor, I pull it down. And that's gonna help me keep, what's the term I'm looking for? Sonic quality, a part of my process. Because if I get the boost in on the track, I'm already looking for more volume, which means I'm not doing something and just processing it with plugins to boost it. Not only in compression can you boost it, but you could do it in the EQ as well. You got an input boost, so the raw sound. You got an output boost, which is gonna be after you add, any frequency dump or raise. And I guess that's a great way to think about EQing as well. It's individual frequency volume adjustment. That's all the EQ does. You want to turn up in the mid-range, You're turning up the volume of those frequencies, depending on how it is you have your cue. And the cue is, I guess, say, the range of frequencies that it's going to handle. So it's here. So if you wanted all of these frequencies to turn up or turn down the way you want them to, you grab it by the cue and you push or pull. My particular theory when it comes to EQing, I subtract the VQ to where whatever sounds I'm bringing in, I'm trying to focus on what quality is it coming in already. Unless I'm trying to add some sort of distortion to it by boosting it somewhere, it should be at least at the quality where I would just want to dump it into a project and export. Even though it might not be a proper mix, at least the sounds are the sounds. And that's one thing to think about as well whenever it is you're looking for sound packs and things of that nature. And that's why I'm glad that a lot of places where you could buy samples from allow you to hear what the samples sound like, see what type of quality they come through as. And that should also keep you in the mindset of knowing how your speakers sound when it comes to, different audio. How many times have you checked out, Grammy-winning tracks on YouTube and just listened to them through your speakers? Switch genres, listen to different tracks on your speakers to see what it sounds like, and then play one of your tracks through your speakers. What's the similarities? What's the differences? Because that's going to let you know what it is you do to a mix, also what your speakers do to a track, so that when you approach mixing it, you're already with the mindset of, I know I need to adjust it to get it to this point through the speakers. Because that was a huge problem of mine when I was younger, from having computer speakers that was like $20 Logitechs to using, I guess you could say, iMac's, default output to, maybe a subwoofer that was hooked up to some sort of stereo system inside of somebody's crib, to somebody's, hoopty car, to iPads and the headphones, the earbuds. It never sounded universal through it, but I didn't understand the process of what are these speakers doing to sound already anyway. Of course, they're not going to sound the same. You got different power points or power inputs. So the electricity is traveling to them differently, from AA batteries to, I don't even know what is inside of like an iPod. And it was iPods back in the day, to, being plugged up to just a USB through a computer with the computer speakers. They all do something different to audio already. And then the impedance on the speakers, the frequency range on the speakers itself, if it's boosting or anything just for some sort of effect, does it give you more bass? None of that really mattered when I was younger. It was just more so, it should sound great no matter what. But that process is a bit more thorough in understanding the speakers that it's coming through. And I don't know how many times throughout the years, just in the last 10 years, I went to a live event and the different artists, the music is coming through the speakers different, even though the music is similar. And I'm like, yeah, definitely. They probably heard it on a certain set of speakers and it sounded great. And it wasn't for like some live audio output speakers. And so when they brought it, it hit different. And it took away from the crowd sometimes. When your stuff sounds good, it always brings the crowd into it, regardless of what genre or what it is that you're saying in your track. But when it doesn't sound good, it definitely affects your ability to capture a crowd. So I would say, if ever you could leisurely just go out, go to different places that got different sound setups, different acoustics. Just check out, the music that they play in there. If you can, take a mental note. Me, I was that goofy dude that'll walk around with a notepad or put it into my phone and take actual notes. And I didn't mind doing that at all. To where it was like, I got to think about that while I'm listening to my speakers and the different ways I can listen to my audio. So I know that when I approach a mix, exactly what it is I need to aim for.